first lesson this day comes to us in the book of Genesis. There in the 18th chapter, beginning at the first verse. The Lord appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Bolivar as he sat at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran to the tent entrance to greet them. He bowed down to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if I have found favor with you, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. Let me bring a little bread, that you may refresh yourselves, and after that, then you may pass on, since you come to your servant." They said, "Do as you have said." And Abraham hastened to the tent to Sarah, and said to her, "Make ready quickly 3 measures of choice flour, knead it and make cakes." Abraham ran out to the herd and took a calf, tender and fat and good, and gave it to the servant, who hastened to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk and the calf that he had prepared and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree while they ate. Afterward they said to him, "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he said, "There in the tent." And one said, "I will surely return to you in due season, and your wife Sarah shall have a son." Sarah was listening at the tent entrance behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "After I've grown old and my husband is old, shall I now have pleasure?" The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Shall I indeed have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too wonderful for the Lord? At the set time I will return to you in due season, and Sarah shall have a son." Sarah denied, saying, "I did not laugh." But she was afraid. And he said, "Oh yes, but you did laugh." Turning then to our New Testament, we read in the Gospel according to Matthew, there at the 9th chapter, leading into the 10th. Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom of God, and curing every disease and every sickness. When he saw the crowds, Jesus had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. He said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest." Jesus chose 12 and sent them out, following these instructions: "Go nowhere among the Gentiles, enter no town of the Samaritans, but go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As you go, proclaim the good news. The kingdom of heaven has come near. Cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. You received without pay, give without payment. Take no gold or silver or copper in your belt, no bag for your journey, no 2 tunics, no sandals, no staff, no laborers, for the laborers deserve their food. Whatever town or village you enter, find out who in it is worthy, and stay there until you leave. As you enter the house, greet. If the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. If it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet as you leave that house or town. Truly I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. I am sending you out like sheep in the midst of wolves. So be wise, wise as serpents and innocent, innocent as doves. So end our lessons for this day. Last Sunday morning, attempting to illustrate that Jesus gave directions about the basics of faith, the fundamentals of what they needed to believe, I described that Great coach Vince Lombardi every year used to show to his football players, this is a football, and show them the field, and show them what they needed to do. And after the service, someone came running up to me and said, put me in, coach. I know what I have to do. I'm ready to win. I'm ready to make goals for the church, goals for God. We can have a bigger budget. We can have greater programs. We can do all kinds of great things. I said, no. That's not what faith is about. It's not about our accomplishments. Not about having more, doing more, being more. Ever since the 1950s, we have had a motto in America that we need to win. We need to succeed. I'm okay, and you're okay, and everything's all going to work out. I'm not okay. You are not okay. But it's going to be okay. Because God cares. And we care about each other. And we are not left alone. Too often in this life, we strive and strive for all we can get, all we can possess, all we can do and accomplish. And we fail to realize that it takes its toll on us. We get worn down. We give up our humanity, our divinity. So we come to the church as a means of reorienting, being made new, made whole, made fresh, of starting again with a bright spark, rather than being worn out and worn down and burned. We come together as the body of Christ, realizing we don't have to be alone, that we are cared for and loved. Reorientation is hard, because everything in our world says strive for all you can get, be the very best that you can be, and instead to be part of the whole, part of another, caring for others. That's a whole reorientation. It's like hosting, like hospitality, like fatherhood. I would be the first to say that women have the harder task in giving birth to a child. Men have one moment of joy, and afterwards, women have 9 months of change. But actually, in many ways, I think women are better prepared for motherhood than fathers are for fatherhood. Because you get 9 months to get used to this. Men suddenly have this baby in their arms and say, oh my God, I'm a father. And we have to reorient our lives. And instead of going for all you can get, instead of living your life for your happiness, or maybe yours and your spouse, you now have to care for this other, and love them, and provide for them, and feed them, and change them. And it's not going to be over tomorrow. It's going to take years and years before they can stand on their own 2 feet. And even then, they often come home. I'm afraid that in our society today, social media has worn away at the ways in which we deal with each other. When we want to communicate with each other, we don't look each other in the eye anymore. We send an emoji. If we really want to, we can send 133 characters in a tweet. We maybe can send a text. If we really, really want to, we can risk talking on the telephone to them. And if we really want to risk, we can actually see their face. But it's not like being present with each other. We can still decline and choose not to receive, not to communicate. When I was in 5th or 6th grade, my parents decided that you boys need lessons in socialization. So we're going to have a lot of parties at our house. We're going to have a number of parties, and you're going to get better and better at hosting other people, at being social and being social. They realize that this doesn't come automatic to human beings. You need to practice. You need to learn. Being a host means greeting strangers and saying, I am so glad you're here. Sincerely, I am so very thankful that you are part of my life this day. You've made the life different because you're here. And then responding to their needs, whatever they are. And when they leave, it's like the Beverly Hills theme song, take your shoes off and y'all come back now. I really hope that you'll come back. Come back into our lives, that we can share this again. Abraham knew how to be a good host. It had taken 24 years for him to get to this point. He'd left Ur of Chaldea as Abram. In Hebrew, every name has meaning. And Abram is different from Abraham. Abram means a respected elder, revered. Abraham means the father of many nations, the father of many generations. And with that, his wife also received a new name. She had been Sarai, which means little princess. And instead it's changed to Sarah, which means mother of kings and mother of nations. For 24 years have gone by. 24 years of living with a promise that God will soon provide to you a child. Sarah has gone from having hope to not having hope anymore. She's gone from having hope that this was going to come any minute to never seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and not being certain it could ever happen. There's reality. When you're 90 years of age, the idea of having a baby is not real practical. And her hope turned to hurt. And her hurt turned to anger. And her anger turned to cold acceptance. Until these strangers came. And that day in the heat, laboring to welcome them and to make a place for them underneath the tent, one of them spoke up with that same old promise, and next year, you're going to have a baby. And she said, yeah, right. And she didn't say it out loud. She covered her mouth as soon as she said it. She was embarrassed to admit that she no longer believed in the promise. But one of those three together, always seems to represent God, heard her thoughts, knew what she believed, and challenged her, saying, why did she laugh? Is anything too hard? Is anything too wonderful for God? Sarah said, I didn't laugh. Over time, we have tried and tried to explain humor. Aristotle, Schopenhauer, Sigmund Freud, all have tried. It's sort of like explaining a joke. If you have to try and explain it, it's not funny. I think the best came from Reinhold Niebuhr, Gustav Niebuhr's great uncle, who described that humor is a prelude to faith. In humor, you realize there's an incongruity. There are those that you believe are going to be strong and wonderful and leaders, and suddenly you find out that they're the comic relief. Charlie Chaplin was wonderful at having these great, bombastic, arrogant men who suddenly slipped on a banana peel and fell on their butt. And we laughed. The Three Stooges were marvelous at having these three grown men. Brian? Who would put a monkey wrench on their nose, who would saw into their scalp, and we would fall on the floor laughing at the absurdity. We don't laugh anymore. What breaks my heart is that in the 1920s and 30s, throughout the Great Economic Depression, when people weren't certain where food was going to come from, whether their children had, whether they would have grandchildren, or if the grandchildren would have a future. In a time between two wars of the world, they could laugh at themselves. And in that way, be less guarded, and more human, and more real. Today, it seems we can't laugh at ourselves anymore. There comes a point in life when we've had one bad day after another, one stressful time after another, and you've had one day that's just too much, and you get to a point where you laugh. Something suddenly catches you off guard, and you laugh, and it grows to a belly laugh, and you keep laughing, and you can't stop until the tears are streaming down your cheeks. Do you know what that's like? That's what saves marriages. That's what saves lives, is that time of laughter, of laughing so hard that we cry, that our humanity, our divinity, is restored to us. Sarah, as a prelude to faith, realized the incongruity. She was 90 years old. Her husband was over 100, and they're going to have a baby. Can you imagine what it's like when they're going to be 16 years old? And that laughter, she tries to squelch. When that laughter and the contradictions of reality and the impossible come together, and we're surprised that it becomes real, that's when faith enters in. It's the incongruity with the surprise. A century ago, there was a Baptist minister between Brooklyn and Long Island, and he'd served 25 years in that parish and was well loved. He had been a bachelor all his life, and he had a great deal of time on his hands, only being a pastor without a wife, without children, and so he devoted himself to education. He had earned 7 advanced degrees. He'd earned a PhD from Dartmouth. He earned another PhD from Columbia. He was a man of letters, a man of wisdom, a man of great respect. And then he turned 72. And the denomination had a mandatory retirement. He became horribly depressed. He lay in his bed saying, 72 years old, all that's left for me is to die. I've served for 25 years in this church, and I haven't won many souls to Christ. Few will remember that I was even here. Then by chance, he met a man who was a minister from India, who was traveling through New York, and he invited the minister to come to his church and to preach the sermon on Sunday morning. Afterwards, the Indian pastor shared with him, how about we trade and you come to my home and you preach there? And the Baptist minister said, I'm 72 years old. I'm going to Florida and going to retire and eventually going to die. And the pastor from India said, in my country, when your hair turns white, we give you more respect. Here it seems like all you do is die. Come to my home and preach the gospel. And he thought about it, and he prayed about it, and he decided he would do that. He was receiving the call to go forth and do more, to do differently. And his parishioners said, what are you doing? If you go to India and you die, what's going to happen to you? And his response was, India is just about as close to heaven as it is here in New York. So he packed everything he had. He sold his house, he sold all his books, he sold all his possessions, except for one trunk. And then he put on a ship. And he boarded a one-way ticket to Bombay. But there was a terrible storm, and in the storm, the cargo was lost. And when he arrived at Bombay, he didn't have his trunk. All he had was his wallet and his passport. And he got on the streetcar to go to the monastery, and somebody picked his pocket. And he didn't even have that. And he got to the monastery, and they welcomed him. But they said, your friend, pastor who was from India in America, he stayed there. So we don't have anything for you to do here. The minister thought a long time and said, I'm going to go to the mayor of Bombay and see if he has something for me to do. And the other missionaries of the monastery said, good luck. We've tried for years and we can't get an audience. But he went. He went to the mayor's offices, to the mayor's palace, and he presented his business card. And the mayor's officials saw on this a man of great letters with 7 degrees after his name and believed that surely he's not just here to preach the gospel. He's on some great business cause, something that's going to change our lives. So not only did they grant him an audience with the mayor, they held a high tea in which they invited all the dignitaries of the area to come to celebrate that he was there. And with all the dignitaries, he preached for 3 hours. And in Bombay, they have the equivalent of West Point, called the National Defense Academy of Pune. And the general was so moved by what he heard that he invited this missionary to become their chaplain. And from there, he went to Hong Kong. And today there is a thriving congregation in Calcutta, India, and a thriving congregation in Hong Kong because of this man who was as good as dead. After 16 years being a missionary in India, he died in India. And his final words were, it's just as close to heaven. We need to laugh more.